We are live in the tiny house at Marvin Windows at JLC 2018.
That was flat.
Huh?
The first one was way better.
All right, we are live in the tiny house at Marvin Windows JLC 2018. 4 grown dudes in a tiny house recording a podcast.
It's heating up.
And it's heating up. We got. You know what? Let's just roll right into your role.
What? This is the Modern Craftsman podcast.
That was flat, John.
Yeah.
With
Tyler Grace from TRG Home Concept.
Nick Schiffer with NS Builders.
Johnny Horahan with Vintage Builders.
And
Jordan Smith with Reisinger & Co.
Boom.
Cool. This is day 2 of JLC 2018. This is the second one we've done with
Really
Marvin
feels
Windows.
like an extension of day 1 because we didn't really
we haven't
slow down.
Yeah.
I just saw my first few booths.
What'd you see?
Disappeared.
What'd you see?
Not really anything.
Thanks. Way
Cool.
to get
Like,
everybody.
Great
stare it.
update.
No, I saw stare it. I think that's how you say it.
Stare it.
Yeah.
And then tried to buy a saw from them, which they're not selling. It's like
Wait till 4 o'clock today.
Yeah.
They'll sell it.
And then it's not. It's like one of their demo saws. And then I went to the Stabila booth. And
I think that's the best pronunciation of it.
Stabila?
Is it?
It sounds fancy.
I don't know what it is.
A lot of people butcher it.
Stabila. I say Stabila.
Okay,
I don't
he
know.
already did a good job.
No, I know. I think his is better.
That-
I'm going
And
to
then
change the way I say it.
I ran into Kiefer at Type Bond, and I think that's it. That's about all I saw.
Huh?
More
It's
than me.
Yeah.
Y'all seen the Shaper?
No.
That's upstairs, right?
Yeah. Did you try it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What
It really
else have
is.
you seen?
So, not a lot. I was at Festool this morning looking at some of you've just seen the Bluetooth remotes for their vacuums, right? You know how their vacuums have always worked where you have whatever you have your saw and it's plugged into the vacuum, so as soon as you pull the trigger, you got your dust collection going. Well, now that we're going to more and more cordless, battery-operated stuff, you don't have that connection anymore. So they've come up with a module for their vacs that just plugs right in, $80, which is not very Festool prices. Like
Right.
that's super reasonable. It plugs right in to the vacuum that you already own, and you get a remote, so you can turn the remote on for whatever tool you're using. Or they sell batteries with that same Bluetooth technology, so you put that battery on the tool, and then it's the same as it works for the rest of your corded tools. You pull the trigger, and the vac turns on, and it's all automated. Pretty slick stuff.
I think that's pretty cool. It's weird to me that you need a cordless tool if you're going to have a hose hooked to it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
always been my...
It's like if you're going to have a hose, you might as well be plugged in. I mean, what's the difference?
I guess if you're doing anything remote, like if you got a battery-operated vac too, eventually. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I think everything is going battery operated. So maybe.
How about a hoseless vacuum?
Yeah,
dude?
You're an innovator.
Think
Just
about
amazing.
it.
Yo, end of podcast. End of
You.
podcast.
The vacuum on
Hey,
the
Benny,
vacuum
you
on
can
your
save
back.
that clip.
You know the janitor vacs on your back. That's what
Yeah.
it'll be. It'll just be a bunch of. You'll have
Yeah.
a battery pack and a vac on your back.
Then Milwaukee will have a jacket that you wear that has that bag
Bags
inside
in
of
it, and as it fills up your jacket, it just
You
gets
become
bigger.
warmer and warmer.
You'll work harder in the mornings to stay warm.
So, Jordan, what else have you seen?
So Festool, the Shaper. The Shaper was cool. It's a CNC router that you run with your hands. So you take care of the macro movements, and it takes any type of file type. So you can do AutoCAD. You can even do like Inventor or what's the graphic design software? All you artsy
Revit?
people.
SolidWorks?
No, that's
Photoshop?
CAD?
Like Illustrator.
Illustrator.
Yeah, so it'll take an Illustrator file, so you don't even have to have all the engineering background or the high-end programs. It looks at the contrast, so black and white, right? If you draw a line on, I don't know that it takes MS Paint, but at least Illustrator, you can draw whatever you want to do. You put that file with a USB stick into the Shaper, and then it tells you where to move macroly. So you got this screen and a dot, and around the dot is a circle, and as long as you keep that circle or that dot within the circle, you move. So if I'm making like a gear shape, I would just move in a circle, and then the router moves back and forth to create whatever the shape is. It's really pretty slick.
Can you screw it up? Like if you
like have a Red Bull?
Yeah,
Really shaky?
yeah. Like
You're
so,
really
so you
shaky?
can out.
Sorry, that's what I'm thinking about.
There's two modes. There's the mode where you move and it tries to keep up with you, or there's a mode where it tells you how fast to move, and you try to keep the dots on top of each other. So it's sort of like a game. You're trying to keep it on top of each other. But yeah, if you just jerked it to the left really fast, it's only got like 1 inch by 1 inch. So you got to have some skill.
Color within the lines.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, Festool bought that, right? Or they bought the rights to it?
I don't know. I don't know.
I know they're involved. I think I could be speaking out of terms, but I think they put their router motor in that, and
it was a square. It was a square router.
And I know it comes in a sustainer.
Yeah.
So I think somehow they teamed up, probably similar to how they teamed up with SawStop this past year.
Yeah.
I love how Nick has lighting.
You like that?
Looks good.
You guys can't see that, but I have makeup lighting on my forehead, making me shiny as hell.
He's brighter than all of us.
Good.
That's right.
So why is there only a light on me?
I'm not pretty enough. Keep it on Nick.
It's all right. That's why we do a podcast, not a TV show.
So yeah, that's. I haven't been around the show very much at all. A lot of course, Polywall, looking at all their cool stuff, doing demos over there. Marvin Hastings.
So Marvin, I think it's recently or I know they're showing it for one of the first times. Is they have the all black Ultrex, which is pretty. Yeah. I know a lot of people are here that have the Ultrex in their homes, wishing that they knew that it was coming out.
Yeah.
Jay, who we had on the show yesterday, he's like, I'm so pissed that I didn't wait out for those because everyone was looking for them.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's super popular down in Austin. We're doing a lot of the high-end modern homes with still windows. So that black, that thin sight lines, black outside, black inside is hugely popular, but it's got a couple of problems. One, it's hard to find a thermally broken window. The guys down in Austin, Remy, they're coming out with a thermally broken window, which is cool. It's already a window.
Steel windows or
steel
windows?
Yeah. Thermally broken steel window, which is cool, but it's still a window, right? I mean, it's not like you're going to get great insulation properties out of it. And we're in Texas, so our delta is we're trying to keep a home 72, and it may be 100 outside, so you've got like 30 degrees that you're worrying about. To where you guys up here, you're trying to keep it 70, and it's 0 or however cold outside.
Yeah,
it makes
it's crazy. And then it will be 100 in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, not as.
Yeah, the temperature fluctuates a lot more.
Yeah, we have a lot more moderate. But anyway, the black on black emulating the steel window without the cost is, I think, really cool.
Especially with the Ultrex.
Yeah.
So it's not expanding and contracting like fiberglass.
We did that demo out there with the vinyl, having it frozen and dry ice. What's the temperature dry ice? I don't know. I should look this up. I think
producer.
Yeah, negative something. It's cold, right? And so we had a cooler with the vinyl in it, and we had the Ultrex. We'd pull the vinyl out, hit it with a hammer, and it just shattered like crazy. It hit me in the lip. I was bleeding. That's why Matt didn't want to do it. He's like, yeah, no, you should. I'll talk and you do it because it'll be cooler that way. But it's just more dangerous.
Negative 109 degrees.
Yeah, so it was a negative.
Just to be clear, Nick definitely looked it up.
Yeah.
I just was
for the listeners.
I was trying.
He looked it up.
He
looked it up in his mind. He was indexing back. He's like, I know this. Just give me some time.
Give me a minute.
Give me some time.
109.3 degrees.
The vinyl just shattered. The Ultrex you hit. I mean, you could break it. Like they would always say, like, hit it hard, and, but you had to beat it to have it to break. It's pretty cool stuff.
And realistically, when's it going to be minus 109?
You have bigger things to worry about than your windows at negative 109.
I'm not working there. I think it's that cold.
I'm taking a snow day. It's 109.
No, I think I was very impressed. I wasn't familiar with their product which is crazy because they've been around forever. I wasn't involved with their product until last year and started learning more and more about it. And for me, it's like, there's a comparable with integrity than other brands. It's Anderson 400, whatever it may be, and yet the price point's a little bit higher, but for me that's a quality upsell for their product. It's in a different category. I mean, it's a completely different window, different technology and everything else, but like if I'm given the choice to upsell something like that versus an Anderson 400, like I'm always going that route.
You use a lot of integrities, right?
I do, yeah.
Would you use the black on black, you think?
Yeah, I would. We were almost going to do it for the Ultimates for the Dover project. black interior and out, but we.
It makes a good. Even with the steel windows, we do a lot because they're really expensive, even on the super high-end projects. I mean, a $100,000 window package is, you know.
You should just make them in house.
I'd love to. There's a lot of
Matt, are you listening, Matt?
well, we did. I can't. Yeah, we have. We did.
That was awesome.
It's hard. It's there's a lot of litigation that goes around fenestrations. Apparently, I don't know. There's a whole council and stuff that they're pretty specific on what you have to do.
Jordan Smith windows.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the simplest thing I put it is that if you're gonna pick between Anderson 400 and Integrities, what's in Home Depot? Anderson's. They've already sold out.
Yeah.
I know they're here, but
they're
already doing production line stuff. They're going for the numbers. That's not what I'm about. I'm about hands-on craftsmanship. If it's $100 more a window, done.
Right.
There's not even discussion.
No, I mean we've developed a great relationship with Marvin,
but I was doing it for years before that relationship. I'm a
He's
fan
cool.
of. No, I just before I just saying
the window hipster junk.
before they were even called Marvin Windows.
I'm just saying.
Back when Marvin was just making some windows out of his garage.
Slow down. I'm just saying that before we had a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you did. Yeah. And you were using different manufacturers before that, and you made the leap.
Yeah. It was Pella.
No looking back.
Never.
Cool.
All I can think of is Top Gun right now.
Really?
Yeah. Your mustache.
So,
True.
so I priced out steel windows for a job, and I've never dealt with them. And we were looking at a number of different window manufacturers, but their ultimate goal was to have a steel window in the house. And we were
interior or exterior? Was it
steel?
No. What application was this window? Was it going on outside?
Yeah, for the full house, exterior wall. And we priced it out with a manufacturer in California, and it was, I mean, we were about a $70,000 Marvin package, and it was $283,000 in steel.
Yeah.
And it was, and they weren't totally confident it would survive in our climate.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, so I'm going to pay $283 for a window that might not even survive, but it will look cool.
Yeah.
So for like your point,
the number would go even higher if it was Tischler. We priced it at our other big job, and it was.
It's silly money.
It's silly money, and what I like what strikes me about it is once you get to that level, the whole building science thing that Matt's about and y'all guys are about quality and longevity and durability and resiliency, like you get condensation on the ins. If it's not thermally broken, you get condensation on the inside of the house on a cold day. Like that's going back 25 years. It's been a long time since just a regular production window has had that problem, and yet because it looks cool, and I make them. I don't make them anymore, but have made them. It's a cool product. I love it, but it's pretty. It's a decision that you make to say we like how it looks, and we're going to sacrifice some comfort.
Yeah.
We're going to sacrifice value, right? Because they're super expensive, and we're okay with that because it just looks so cool. And they do. I mean, you get some thin sight lines that you just can't get with any other material.
It's like when we talk about like the mitered corner glass, and I think you and I chatted about the job that was up in Maine, and I emailed this guy faster than I looked at the picture, and I was like, how did you accomplish it? He's like, it was just for looks. It's single pane. I'm like, you're in Maine, dude.
I got to figure out. Chris Hall, the architect that's doing Dover for us, he's doing a house in Little Compton, Rhode Island, and he has
mitered.
He showed me a video of his house, and I immediately stopped and was like, that's a mitered corner. Where'd you get it? And he's like, it's insulated. I'm like, we need to talk. We haven't connected yet because it's awesome.
And there's manufacturers that they just say we won't warranty it.
Yeah.
But I remember you're right. It's a lot of times unfortunately the window comes down to the aesthetic before the science, depending on which Well,
I mean, I think that's the golden. That is the place that we're all trying to wind up with. Is there have been passive houses and there have been energy efficient houses for decades. I mean, there's been houses built out of square hay bales because they're the most efficient. I mean, I
talked to an architect yesterday about hay bale construction.
Yeah. So there's
what? It's huge
for Massachusetts.
It's the up and coming thing.
It's huge.
It's huge.
It's a carbon footprint thing. It's I have his card in my wallet, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to understand it more.
I mean, I think
Dude,
to
pull him over here
to
for the
speak
podcast.
to what Jordan was saying, though, like they're spending, Reisinger especially, how much money developing the envelope of the building to be energy efficient and everything else, and then you're compromising to get an aesthetic, which
Look at his
like
card.
completely negates.
Oh man, I met
what
that
you're
guy. That was a
going
cool
for.
kid. I got the same card. Sorry.
Which I think it doesn't matter what your building system is, it's only as strong as your weakest link. It doesn't matter if it's interior remodeling, a shower system, or a building envelope. You're going to spend how much money developing a building envelope and then putting something in that is inferior to another product because of aesthetics is like, it's kind of silly to me.
Yeah, but sort of. But you want to live in a beautiful space, right?
Sure.
I mean, because you could live in a hay bale house with no windows and 10-inch foam door, and it would be incredibly energy efficient. I don't want to live in that house. I also don't want to live in the beautiful glass house that I can't afford to heat and cool. It's always
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and my kids have to wear coats inside.
Yeah.
So it's striking that balance, and that's one of the reasons that we go so crazy on the details that we can control, because we know that the architect or the client, somebody's going to pick a really stupid product from an energy efficient standpoint, and to hit our blower door test or whatever other metric we're trying to hit, everything else has to be done, not only right but above and beyond right, so that those products that are inferior because they look good can still make a house that is adequate or above adequate from an energy standpoint.
So I got to go back a minute. You sound just like Reisinger, and I feel like you just came out of nowhere. And like we talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
That take us back to where you hooked up with Matt Reisinger. It just seems like whatever culture he's creating, you're like a spitting image of what you're just.
Well, Matt
spitting
Reisinger
out the same stuff.
Matt Reisinger figured
in
out
such a short amount of time.
a cloning machine several years ago, and I was the first prototype. No, so
He's my dad.
yeah, I'm Jordan Reisinger. It doesn't play as well in the media. So so my background's welding engineering. So I've industrial. I'm an engineer. I understand building stuff. I understand sticking stuff together. I understand how to run businesses. I ran a big manufacturing shop in Houston, and Veronica, my wife, and I were having a midlife crisis of.
How old are you?
Middle of his life.
55. I'm dying at 70. I haven't I told you like this
it's
is
just
this
relative.
This is
Put a deadline on it.
This is the middle of my life. Yeah. No,
your,
so
your wife is in earshot. And she's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, you're not.
I'm dying at 70. So we were talking, and I've always wanted to own my own business. Right, Johnny, you're going through this now, and I would like to start a business, but I can't figure out how to do that in manufacturing, because you can blow through so much money so fast. And so now you have to bring on investors. You bring on investors. It's no longer your business, right? It's their business. You're managing their money. And yeah, you could have your name on the door, but at the end of the day, the guy who brings the dollars, the shot caller, right? He's the guy that's saying, yeah, that's a good idea. I want to do that. Or no, I don't want my money doing that. So it's not your business anymore. So you have to find a business that you can get into with very little capital, and Veronica and I had done 3 houses, 2 renovations, and then just built our last one. We liked it. She liked the design part of it. I like nerding out. I've been watching Matt Reisinger for years, back when he was a nobody with 25,000 subscribers or whatever he was. And so we decided, we're like, all right, that's what we want to do. We want to be home builders. Let's start our own home building company. But we don't know anything about it, right? I mean, I'm just now learning basic stuff still, I mean, you get stuff from years of being in it that you can't get just saying, hey, I'm starting a home building company. So I drove out to Austin, and we lived an hour and a half away from Austin, and drove to an architecture show where Matt had one of his houses. We started talking, and he's like, are you a builder? Because I'm asking him all these nerdy questions about crawl spaces, and
That's what got you connected.
Yeah, crawl spaces, yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm not a builder, but I want to be you when I grow up. And he laughs. He's like, well, instead of doing your own thing, just come to work for me. And I was like, nah, I want to start my own thing. And I got home and started thinking about it. 6 months later, Matt and I stay in talks. I'm still working at the manufacturing firm. And, there's just a lot of smart things that you can learn the easy way from somebody who's done it and knows it and has seen it all, than trying to figure it out the hard way through trial and error. So we were able to work out a deal where I came on and I'm managing his steel crew, because that's my background. And we had a we had $1 million boat dock in production that they couldn't figure out how to get a 30,000-pound roof fabricated and installed
you just went
offside.
right by $1 million boat deck.
Yeah, $1 million
Pretty
boat
quick.
dock. $1 million boat dock.
Yeah. NBD. No big deal.
No big deal. Yeah, so this boat dock, it's nuts, right? So there's 6, when I came on, there's 6 W sections coming up as columns out of the water and a second floor, and that's it. And this boat dock doesn't have any living space in it, any conditioned living space. It's just a top deck and then the boat slip underneath, and that's it. And then the roof, the whole architecturally cool thing about this is the roof is a 3.5-inch broke piece of steel that's 45 foot long and 12 foot wide and weighs 30,000 pounds, and it cantilevers off 25 foot off of one end. It's nuts. And the plan before I came on was, well, we'll build it off site and we'll just get a barge and crane it on. But
There was talks of helicopters.
Where is there water in Austin?
Lake Austin. It's a river, but we put a dam at one end and called it a lake.
They made it.
All right.
We made it a lake. Yeah, that's why it's the land is pricey on a waterfront property in Austin.
Say.
Yeah, and so yeah, we figured out how to build it on site instead of because we just couldn't figure out a crane option. The barges would have to come out of Houston or a helicopter out of California, and any way you cut it was $100,000.
I would have done helicopter.
Yeah, we
Get a Chinook.
I wanted the helicopter would have been so cool. The problem was temperature. You could only do it in a certain range of months because the temperature had to be between X and Y for the helicopter to lift that capacity, and then they would have to break it all down and ship it across from. Yeah, that's the thing. You should call them up.
I
Sounds
believe
like
you.
it's a little too close to for comfort. There's a temperature range that the helicopters. It's warming up.
You gotta
Shut it down.
Oh boy.
Make your tack welds and go. So yeah, no, we figured out a way to put the roof on, and that's when they brought me on, because this thing was just turning into a show real fast, not getting done, and so they brought me on to do that project, and then I stayed on to run the steel and carpentry crew. So now I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid of Matt Reisinger.
Well, I think yesterday you kind of dug into it when we were chatting. Is, it doesn't always make sense for someone to go off on their own, and I think a lot of people run into that, because they feel as though they can't team up with someone such as Matt, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, I have to do it on my own because no one else is going to put me in a position where I can express myself and be successful. Where, Matt's a perfect example where you want to start your own business, and he's like, why don't you come work for me? And he put you in a position where you're doing what you love, you enjoy what you do, the team is great, and you have a little stake in the game, and you feel supported in your decisions.
Yeah, no, absolutely, right? I mean, that's what everybody ultimately is looking for. They want to make an impact, and they want to be rewarded for the impact that they make, and they want to work with cool guys, right? Guys and girls. And the temptation always is, well, I'm going to do it on my own because
Right.
I can't find that mix if I work for somebody else. And honestly, Matt's probably probably not that common of a guy, because I mean, this guy
Right.
is everything you see on YouTube or you hear. He probably comes off more arrogant on his YouTube channel than he is in real life, and he never comes across as arrogant on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He's just the nicest guy, the most generous guy. Give the shirt off his back, and so when you find a guy like that who's willing to, take a risk with you and teach you a business, you don't turn that down lightly.
Yeah, I think that's important to note, because I know we get a lot of messages saying, guys, I love the podcast, blah, 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 but it's always about the guys that are running businesses. What about the guys that are working for businesses, or how do we grow within someone else's company? Because I don't want to start a business. And you're exactly what we needed to fill with that void.
Yeah. No, there's a lot. I mean, just business systems, right? I mean, I did a startup before this. It was a well-funded startup, but it was a startup. I was employee number one, and developing business systems is an incredible hassle and pain that, especially for builders, might not be
Nick
be
just
the
took a big
forte.
gulp.
Yeah, yeah, and to come into a 10-year-old business, that's how long Matt's been building on his own, and he's got a CFO who worked for IBM for all of his life and has done several tech startups and then retired. He's retired like 3 or 4 times, and he lives on a nice house on Lake Travis, and he got bored, wanted to start something else, and Matt brought him on. So Matt's for business owners out there, recruit talent is one thing, right? Go find those guys. They don't have to be builders, but this guy is a business expert. I mean, he's seen it and done it all, and has improved our back office, tenfold in the year that I've been there.
Yeah, I think that, I thought that was super interesting when Matt was talking about how a lot of the people that are involved with what he does aren't in the trade, aren't in the business, and he was looking to fulfill positions that he wasn't the best at.
Exactly.
And he doesn't, and he's no BS. He's not saying he knows everything about building, but he'll put the right people in place to build something really great.
But that was very similar to Jeremy yesterday, how he's identifying where his flaws are, focusing on them, and then if he can't support that, he's putting someone else in.
Right.
Yep. And that's what most owners should do, but ignore it.
Well, I think a lot of those business skills and principles, and even developing a business, they transcend just construction. That's applicable throughout any industry, and you kind of have to adapt and manipulate to your specific industry and your specific company. And like Jordan was saying, that startup, those hardships that you're going through and developing a business plan, somebody can walk you through that. Somebody can give you the principles, but a lot of that is through trial and error. Yep. It's screwing it up and okay, this isn't working. This worked for somebody else. We can take what works from that, and then we got to put the rest of it aside and kind of adapt it for ourselves.
Manipulate it.
It's very hard to start your business, even if you have an exact business plan in place and just we're just going to coast this out at this point. It's like, all right, we're failing miserably. Now what do we have to do? Yeah. This isn't working. Which I think we've all been through.
Yeah, I think it's tough when we're managing a project, the goal is that you're not reacting. And I think if you take the same approach as a business owner, that you're trying to get everything in place, so then you can then be looking for those glitches that might come down the line.
And I think it's important, especially with employees in place, to communicate the expectations that this is not permanent. Like whatever we came up with today, tomorrow, we're all going to find something with it that wasn't right, and that's okay, right? Because that's how you make it into something that is permanent. But a lot of the, especially back office people with more concrete personalities, when you say, okay, this is how we're doing it, and then tomorrow you're saying, that's just not working. Well, that's not how we do it. This is how we do it. Well, that way's not working. We gotta, that adaptability, and it's always a fine line between not reinventing the wheel every single time and just, sticking with the process long enough to know that it actually doesn't work the way that it's supposed to, and just jumping from thing to thing to thing because you're, that's not working, that's not working. It's the business management of it is, building is not easy, but if it's what you're passionate about and it's what you're doing every day, you put in the time to learn it. Business systems, if it's not what you're passionate about, you don't put in the time to learn it. You're not geeking out over it every single day, and it can kill you as a business owner faster than a lot of times.
It can take you away. If you don't focus on it, it'll take you away from what you really enjoy.
Well, because we didn't really get into this for that aspect.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who have construction businesses who are businessmen and then hire out, which I feel like would probably be easier. But we get into it the other way, where it's like we're passionate about the building end of things, then we have to figure out how the hell to run a business.
Yeah.
So true.
Another thing that Matt does in his, as far as talent, is looking for those, on the office side or, any of it, the project managers or whatever, is people who've had their career, they've gone out, they've done it, they've been successful, and they're looking for a part-time or a lesser time, less responsibility gig. Tim Hill is a rock star builder that works with us. He's done everything. He owned his own business, super successful, was able to retire in his 50s, got bored, did another gig, and retired. And then Matt said, hey, come to work for me. And so this guy, he puts in a 40-hour work week just because he wants to, but he's part-time.
It's what he does.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So he's the director of operations?
Yeah. And he's with our project managers. He's at each one of their sites, and he's sort of guiding them through, hey, watch out for that, watch out for this. You really need to be spending more time on the budget. You really need to be, and just that guidance. He likes it because it gets him out of the house, and he's able to contribute. And we love it because you can't get that from a book, right? I mean, that's a 50-year career of in it. And the same thing with the financial guy. You know, we have a lot of talent with the older generation who, they're looking for ways of giving back without all the stress of running the business.
So that tails right into a question I had is, you're talking about all the older guys that are part-time retired, but how is Matt or Reisinger & Co. bridging that gap to the younger generation? You know, you're saying that they want to give back, but in what way are you involving the younger guys?
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm at that point where I'm just ready to go work for someone. I'm burnt from doing it. I'm ready to go work for somebody minus the successful end of it. You know? It's like, I'm ready to be that guy.
I've done the work.
I just haven't been successful.
We're talking,
yet.
and I'm sitting there going, God, so I worked for myself, then I worked for other companies for like 12 years. I'm like, if I went and got a business degree at night, I didn't have to take the 11 years working for other companies to learn processes and business. I could have just shrunk that down, but it was...
But I know Nick had just thrown a question at you, but it's also, that's kind of where my direction was going, where you're hiring these people in to give you hands-on, like their experience, not, maybe they have a formal education, but so much of that, like you can apply that to, it's all experience. It doesn't matter your formal education. So now you're hiring these people and bringing in specialists that even if they had formal education, like they're basing some of what they know and their knowledge on that formal education, but 99% of that is experience, and you're bringing in that experience, and like there's no price tag that you can put on that. What they're bringing to the table, you couldn't go to college for 4, 6, 8 years and get.
Yeah. And then as far as bringing in the younger generation, right? So you have that experience that isn't replaceable, and at the same time, it doesn't have to be in construction, right? I mean, I did 10 years in oil and gas, and I was able to come right in and run a subcontracting company because of my knowledge in financials and management and all of that. So the experience doesn't have to be specifically in construction. Sometimes it's helpful when it's not, because you get some outside perspective. But as far as bringing in new guys, we always have a pipeline because of Matt's notoriety of people wanting internships, right? So what y'all are doing with the social media, what Matt's been doing with social media for 10 years, he's created a perception that might not always be reality, that everything's perfect with Reisinger & Co. You know, it's just they are the perfect. Well, I mean, it is in that case, but not in most cases.
Someone note this.
Sorry,
no,
Matt.
it has a allure to it that people are always reaching out. Hey, I want to be involved. How do you take internships? Do you take so having that social media presence, and then just trying to hire for attitude and train for skill. I mean, I don't care. I work with. I guess we got a crew of like 14 now, but that's down from I was managing nearly 100 guys on the oil and gas side. And attitude is the biggest factor for if somebody's going to make it and make an impact on your company and your bottom line, more so than skill every single time.
So true.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I know, and I think Johnny gets it too, but I'll get messages all the time saying the same thing. It's like, hey, I love what you do. Can I be involved?
Can I move to Massachusetts to work for you?
Yes.
And you're like, I'm immediately like, that's a huge burden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you move here and I'm responsible for that? Like,
and I don't live up to whatever you're thinking?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we got
Pressure.
problems.
I just had somebody email me who was like, I'll come sweep floors for you on the weekend. I was like, I don't want you to come sweep floors for me on the week. You know, like if you want to come work, that's fine. Let's
Right.
figure out how to make that next step. But like, I don't want anything for free.
Yeah.
And
right.
But see, I think that you would have to you need to communicate that back, because I mean that's attitude, right?
Oh yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
if somebody's willing to come sweep floors on the weekend,
Yeah, they're just going
let
for...
them come sweep floors on the weekend for free. Not because you need them to sweep floors. It can be a clean floor. I don't care. You know,
They're trying to get in the door.
Yeah.
and then watch them. If they come back, if they do it the first weekend and they're looking at you like, okay, now do I get a job? And they're just trying to get in. You know, they're not authentic. If they come back 3 weeks in a row, and that kid, I'd be looking for people on my team maybe to who's my weak link, because this kid is bringing it.
It's
kid's
just
hungry.
It just blows my mind that, like you're saying, you have to create an environment where people are wanting to come to you, that somebody's emailing me, like, I'm in it every day, and I wouldn't want to come sweep floors for me for free, you know? But like you also said, there's a perception of what it's like, and that's not necessarily realistic. So I want to be careful in that sense that, like, yeah, it's fun. We have a good time, and we like the work and everything else, but, like, it's also work, and it's very hard. And I had the issue with the one employee where, like, he actually quit because he said it's harder than I thought. I saw the finished pictures and what the end result was, and didn't realize what went into it, the daily struggles that you go into. But it's creating the environment where you want kids to come to be. It just blows my mind that I have somewhat created that somebody wants to come sweep floors. Like, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to wrap my head around, because every day I'm like, I mean, not every day, but I'm like, this is a pain in the ass.
So your personality is probably more. Your personality is probably a lot different than Reisinger's. You're a lot more like Steve Leeson, our CFO. So when I was interviewing to come up, because I was quitting my job. I mean, I was making good money in oil and gas. I was going to have to sell my 50-acre ranch and move to Austin. And speaking of which, if you're in Texas and you want a 50-acre ranch, we have one for sale. It's reasonably priced.
Pitch.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a big deal, right? It was a big commitment, big move, and of course, Matt's the eternal optimist. He's like, man, yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're going to do this, do that. Well, he was smart enough to sit me down with Steve Leeson, who's he would call himself a realist. He's a pessimist. I mean, he's just like, everything's going to go wrong, and if it doesn't, it'll be a certifiable miraculous event if something happens right? So he sets me down, and he just starts rattling off. We got this client that's this, and we got this boat dock that's this, and he's like, our perception, the perception of who we are is not reality, and just ran me through all of the realities of working there and the challenges that was ahead of me. Didn't scare me away, because I wasn't. Yeah. I've been around the block enough to know nothing's perfect. But you're right, with these kids, perception is probably a lot different, because Instagram makes everything look pretty.
And that's, I think we all try to dig into that a little bit, because it's very much the refined state of what we do.
Must be nice.
Yeah, the must be nice comments are great. But then it's like humanizing it, saying, "Hey, these are the realities." Like Johnny runs around like a madman, but then he falls back and says, "Listen, this isn't easy. I'm not trying to make this look easy. This is work. This is a hustle."
Like Tyler put it the best, is that if you add up all the stories in a day, it's like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like IG stories, when you add them all, that's 3 minutes of a 12, 13-hour day.
Yeah.
Like. And half the time is you can't really give people that perspective. There's no,
and I mean, it's tricky. There's still a marketing aspect of it, right? Because there's potential clients watching everything that you do on Instagram. That's one of the main purposes of one of the main purposes that we use this is, one, we like to try out new products, and it gives us a platform to do that. It also gives us a credibility with clients looking at, hey, we're looking for somebody to build a house, and this guy seems to know what he's doing. So you want your good stuff on there, right? You don't want to just show all the crap every single day, because nobody. So it's a fine line between being honest and real about here's the challenges, because you could also have a 3-minute highlight clip every day of just the worst job that nobody would ever want to come to work at.
And then at that time, then you create this negative atmosphere, and you have to still remain. You have to be the professional. People hire you because you're the professional at something. But to bring bring it full circle and say, hey, listen, I'm the professional. I know what we're doing. But remember, this isn't all good. And just like every job. I mean,
I have 2 accounts, and Tyler loves that.
3, 4.
3.
You have other accounts.
Did you start a barbershop one where you get your hair cut?
He's got a troll account.
No, so what I try to do is, ideally, the vintage builders would be more finished products.
Yeah.
I don't have any. It doesn't exist. But I've kind of tailored my stories to be more of the business end. It's just all business and just going. And then I can switch to my IG account, my personal one, and just show the kids, show the struggle of like trying to make things, like kind of a little bit of the frazzle
Yeah.
that goes along with it, but it's not really.
It's interesting to me coming from an outside market in oil and gas. This whole social media thing. I don't think it's new to building because I mean you look at fine home building or this old house, like there's not heavy manufacturing digest, you know, like people don't care about.
If there was, I'd read it.
Yeah, it'd be incredibly boring, right?
The oil and gas Instagram scene, like
it's non-existent, right? So when I came on and that's like, man, you need to start a YouTube channel. It was just so foreign for me to like, why?
Dude, how long you been with Matt?
About a year.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking, it's like, was it 3 years?
Yeah.
I'm trying to put a timestamp on everything, but a year.
Yeah.
God.
No,
100 miles an hour.
I was joking with y'all guys earlier about, I think it was at IBS, y'all were doing a how to use social media to grow your business, and I was like, man, I should be on that panel because step 1, find somebody who's a rock star on social media. Step 2, go to work for them. Step 3, convince them to put you on their channel. And step 4, start your own channel. Done.
easy.
It's easy. The 4-step process. I'm going to start selling books.
You should.
It's 4 pages long.
It's 4 and just real big font.
No, I like Nick's social media is very professional. You know, he's really transitioned towards finished photographs, and then John's got like a mix. And I feel like for me, it's too hard to balance both. So personally, I'm just like whatever the hell's going on, whether it's my family, my kids, my work, because for me, I'm selling things on a personal level.
But it's a true timeline for you.
Yeah,
like you literally see the progression of the project.
Right.
Straight through.
And that's what it is for me. So then when customers come to me or when employees come for me, they don't have this false pretense that it's just pretty finished photographs and that like I'm home with my family at 4:30 every day, or even customers. Like I don't want customers to have unrealistic expectations of what it's like to hire me. Like this is what's going to happen. These are my priorities. This is the care I'm taking. This is where things go wrong. This is my family, which I always, have to balance as well. So I'm not going in and somebody said, like, I want somebody to hire me, 1, for my work, but 2, because they actually get along with my personality type. Because I don't want to be on a job for 3 months where I sell myself as one person and then they meet me and they're like, I actually hate the real you. Like I can't. Your work's good, but I can't stand you. And then
I get that all the time already. Like, I mean, people don't even know me on Instagram. They just walk up and they're like, "I hate the real you."
It's like I got to show up and now I'm like
Fake
somebody else that I sold. Which for me, it's just like to try and balance that. I'm like, I'm just gonna do whatever is happening at that point. And if I get business or I lose business, whatever, at least then it's like the truth and it's as much transparency as possible.
And I think to that point, people always ask us, well, should I be personal, or should I be a mix, or should I only be finished photos? There's no right answer to that.
Whatever works for
you. Do your thing and let it tell the story that you want to tell. Because the moment you try to fake the story or tell a story, a manufactured way, you lose the credibility, whether it's clear or not.
But I also think that once you start that story and then people start asking questions, it almost shapes itself.
Absolutely.
That you're just kind of bouncing off of whatever answers are. Like, how many times are we going to get asked about strapping?
All right.
It's like, all right, I'll do a story, I'll do a post.
Yeah.
That just comes with the territory.
Yeah. I mean,
and especially on like YouTube where it's searchable, like ERVs is a perennial. Like, hey, can you do something on ERVs? Like, there's like 10 videos of Matt doing ERVs. It's out there. Like, they haven't changed that much.
That blows my mind. It's like I'll post something and tag the vendor, and somebody will be like, how do I get that? And it's like, I just tagged the vendor. You had to scroll past the vendor in my post.
Yeah.
Or they don't read it at all, and then they ask the question that you answer in the beginning.
Just going to go back to the post.
Do y'all find, so since I'm new to building, I'm new to Instagram. Like, I didn't even have I had a Facebook that I deleted off because I was sitting on the toilet one day and I was getting super pissed off at somebody I didn't know arguing with somebody else I didn't know, and they were both wrong, and I'm like, I'm going to teach you. And it just dawned on me. I'm like, I don't have to be doing this right now. Like, I can just
text me. I have a troll account.
I deleted Facebook. That's all I wanted to do. I just came in here for a nice quiet.
This is my quiet time.
And so I deleted Facebook, and I'd been off it for years until I got involved in this. And that's pretense that you're talking about. Do you ever feel like telling people when they're asking, how do I do this or that with social media? It's like, that's not what we do. Like, it sort of is. It definitely is for you guys with the Modern Craftsman podcast, and then Matt with his channel. And then I'm growing mine. That becomes a thing in and of itself.
Yeah, they look to you for advice.
But it's not. It's you're not a social media. You're not Kim Kardashian. Right, you're not a celebrity.
Sorry, Nick.
Dreams crushed.
Look at him. What? I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
You're a craftsman, and people find that interesting and are following that on Instagram, on that platform. That's not that you're the celebrity, that you're going to attract them by how do I do this or that better. It's like, hey, figure out a trade and get really good at that.
Yeah, and we talk about it all the time. People ask us, and I think we all generally say it's just be consistent and tell your story. I mean, we haven't figured anything out. We're not tracking the algorithm. That's not what we're doing.
We're actually doing nothing.
Yeah, we're just posting and telling the story.
And I'll go back at the end of the night and I will like all the comments. That's really.
Yeah, it's like
there's nothing
hey,
to.
What's the single most important thing I can do on Instagram to grow? All right, post a picture every single day.
Yeah. Or I always say, give love to get love.
Yeah.
Meaning communicate with people that are like-minded like you.
Yeah,
learn from them.
Engage.
For me, it's just like anything else. If it's your business, if it's your family, if it's your personal life, if you want it to grow and you want to be successful, you have to feed it. You have to put the time and energy into it. You're not going to just post something inconsistently and expect your page to grow or your following to grow.
And I think also having a real what's your objective? Like, why do you want to grow? Why do you want that number to be 77,000, 100,000, 200, whatever you want it to be? Why is that going to drive more business? Are you going to be able to get more clients? Is that going to? Are you looking at getting advertisement? Are you wanting to monetize this somehow and make yourself into something that you can be an influencer? Or is it an ego trip? Are you just trying to have that number bigger? Because number one is a great goal. Number two, there's a few people that can pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty limited space. And the third one's just stupid, right? I mean,
And I think that's a question you have to ask and answer yourself, not for someone else.
A lot of people see through that too.
Yeah.
If it, like somebody just messaged me the other day, hey, can you give me a shout out? And then started writing on my posts like, check your DMs.
Yeah.
And I DM'd him back and was like, what's your intent with me shouting you out? And he's like, well, I just see people on here with a big following and it looks like fun.
That was a mixture of old King's English and Instagram. What is your intent with me shouting you out? So that sounded like a Hamlet phrase from
New Age. And he was like, yeah, just, it seems like people with a big following have, it seems like fun. And I was like, it's not just about that. There should be validity to that, or you should have a purpose. And he's like, so that's a no? Pretty much. There's just no point in it. If you just want a number, people are going to see through that, and it's going to be short-lived, and you're going to come crashing down.
Yeah.
For all of us, if you have to be sincere in what you're doing, and it has to be genuine, and you have to curate what's coming out of that. It has to be well thought out and delivered and executed. It's just like business. It's everything else in your life.
I mean, I think it started for me as being selfish. I wanted to have a timeline of what I'm constructing. It didn't exist. Well, I wasn't going to write a blog. Let's be honest.
Well, you talked about how you used to take
blogs are the worst.
Polaroids.
Yeah, that's what, when I was younger. Every day I take a photo, and this seemed to me like the easiest way to do it. If you go way back, it was like picture, no likes, nothing written, and it was me standing in the. I used to spray paint an X, so I'd go to the same spot every time. So now they have time-lapse cameras, but it's like that was my.
They had time-lapse cameras then.
Yeah, but they were expensive. They were expensive.
When were you doing this? Like 1830?
Yeah. But no, that's what I would do every day. Is I would go to the same spot, take the same photo, and that's how it started. And then when people started saying to you, "Hey, I didn't know that's how you did this or that," and it would be like, "Well, I don't think it's the only way to do it, but that's what I know works for me."
Yeah.
And then that's kind of how it grew. And then you start writing more. And you're like, "All right, I'm comfortable with this."
Yeah.
But it's still honestly a timeline for me.
Yeah.
So I can go back and go, how long did it take me to frame that? Like, you're posting it real time. What's that? So I can go back and educate myself.
And it's super cool because you can see your work progress, like your
Yes.
quality progress.
Look at your page.
I go way back, and it's like yellow filtered photos of
Yeah.
me building sheds. And then it's like a year goes by, and then it's like now I'm doing renovations. Now I'm doing whole houses. So you're absolutely right. That's the coolest part of it from a selfish standpoint.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Yeah.
Jordan.
Cool.
This was great, man.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me on. This is so you know what step 5 is to my book? I'm adding a chapter.
Oh.
Get on the Modern Craftsman podcast.
Dream
Step,
I like
big.
it. I like
Dream
that.
big.
step number 5 has been completed.
6 is sell the ranch.
Sell that ranch.
I think
Belleville,
sell
Texas.
Ranch is like 1A, 1B.
Yeah. Sell the ranch. You
2B.
got to sell the ranch. That's the key to all of this.
Your wife is sweating.
She stays. Yeah, that we won't get into it, but that's a big step.
So we're with Jordan Smith of Reisinger & Co.
Yep.
and Build Productions
And Build Productions.
here at the Marvin booth at JLC 2018.
We're
live
more
in,
than more than a booth.
in a
This is a
mini
tiny
tiny
trailer.
house.
Tiny
They,
house.
they call it a tiny house. What are your requirements for a house? Because this has benches.
There's a bed
and
behind
bed.
you, man.
I don't think this is a tiny house.
I
Nah,
think this
this
is.
There's
this
no
is-
kitchen.
That's
No,
John
there's
Marley.
no bathroom.
Yeah,
there's
where's
no kitchen.
Marley?
John
Marley
Marley
lives
lives
in
in
it.
a
I
tiny
think he has an
house.
skewed version.
No, he
of it.
does. He really does. You know John Marley?
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
met him.
He
lives in a tiny
like
house.
300 square foot. Joey lives in a tiny house.
Whoa. Oh no, I saw that on a story.
Yeah,
That's a dope
yeah,
tiny house.
Yeah,
Though.
his wife designs tiny houses and they're pretty cool.
That's crazy.
He's a cool cat.
Well,
So you want to plug yourself and then give us an MLS listing.
Yeah. So the ranch, most
Zillow.
importantly, again, the ranch, Belleville, Texas, 50 acres. Yeah. So Jordan Smith Builds on YouTube and Instagram at Jordan Smith Builds.
awesome.
Keep it consistent, kids, for all of your social media.
True.
Yeah, we have to thank JLC for. There's a booth across from us, and they held off from starting their
Yeah.
demo until we were done with this podcast.
Well, almost when we were
yeah,
done.
well, we
they were
ran
like, all right, guys.
we ran a little long.
Yeah. So, but this was awesome.
All right. Thanks so much,
Get out
guys.
of here before this thing collapses.
Thank you.
They're just going to tow it off with this in it. We're still rolling.
You guys can find us.
themoderncraftsman.org. Email us at info@themoderncraftsman.org.
The.Modern Craftsman on social media. You can DM us. Hit us up with ideas, content, special guests. You guys shape this podcast. Without your feedback, we can't do this.
Tyler, what channels are we on?
Stitcher, Alexa, Spotify. Come on, feed them to me. Oh, iTunes. iTunes is a big one.
That new one.
Yeah.
It's
We
up and
just
coming.
got on there.
All channels.
Yeah, everything. Basically, anywhere that you could find a podcast,
Yep.
we are on.
Correct.
Drop us a review. It keeps us up in the ranks and helps us grow and connect with more of you guys.
It's as easy as dropping a 5-star.
Or not.
What for?
Yeah.
They don't do halves,
No.
so it's more.
Don't penalize them because I'm on this. This is like,
6. Are there 6s?
they were stellar. 3 out of
No,
4.
there's not 6s. Give 2 reviews.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for listening.
Take care.
Will you help me with this demonstration? All you gotta do is hold this.
That was good.
Thank you guys so much.